Taxi drivers were allegedly discriminating against people with disabilities, so our team geared up with hidden cameras.
There's a PennDOT crew behind me right now who is getting ready to hit the road. These crews have been working day and night.
You guys said that the move was going to cost $225. How does it then end up costing $900? Jim, right now, Reading Terminal is being transformed, preparing to host what is sure to be the hottest ticket, with Bill Clinton arriving here later on tonight. Where's her body? You told the family that you were going to have to dig up graves to find her body. How many graves did you have to dig up to find Mary? This is the second judge in the Cosby trial to rule that there is enough evidence against the comedian to hold him over for trial.
I get a manicure on my lunch hour. It's 20 minutes.
What about Hannah's massage?
Hannah's massage? Sometimes on my lunch hour, I'll get a 45-minute massage real quick.
We showed Nicholas Russo our video. Now, what were you doing at Finale?
Getting a haircut.
You were getting a haircut, okay, on your sick day. Two cars were speeding here down Buckshootum Road when one of those drivers lost control. They plowed into a third car that was here at this stop sign that was carrying a woman and two kids. There should be absolutely no reason to call the results of this election into question. About 400 workers have walked off the job and taken their posts here on the picket line. This strike is the first time that SEPTA workers have walked off the job since 1983, and that one lasted 108 days. He is being surrounded by the police commissioner, his family members, as well as other members of the force who are all waiting on updates. To avoid eviction, we're told she even claimed her own daughter died and then allegedly stole the identities of her sister, her mother, and her minor child. Do you feel bad about saying that your daughter has died? Is that going too far?
The woman there who was handicapped, she was in front of me waiting for a cab.
Investigative reporter Wendy Saltzman is here with an exclusive report.
Jim, we witnessed young kids darting across the road in front of cars and buses on their way to school. And the shocking part is the one person who you pay to make sure that walk is safe wasn't doing her job to protect them. It's 8:30 in the morning at this bustling intersection of 46th and Market. And for the kids who go to nearby schools, that means another day of dodging traffic on this busy street.
Get out of the street, girl.
And for crossing guards, that means it's prime time. They whistle, stop traffic, and direct students to make sure everyone gets to class safely. That is, unless you're this crossing guard at this very highly trafficked corner.
Honey, no, I did not cross any children today.
For 4 days in the last 3 weeks, we watched as this crossing guard failed to cross a single student.
But a whole bunch of them crossed and they did fine.
Some students bolted across the street. Crowds of kids crossed alone, time after time. She pulls out her cell phone, but she never pulls out a stop sign, never walks anyone across. In fact, she never makes a move, except to talk to other people walking by.
No move, she don't cross the kids or nothing.
Have you ever seen her cross a kid?
No, never.
This tipster contacted us after he says he called the school district twice.
I never seen nothing like this a day in my life. She's standing on that newspaper stand all morning and don't even move.
His daughter was killed crossing a different street when she was 12. Now he's fearful another child may face that same fate.
I wouldn't want no parent to go through what I went through.
When we approached the crossing guard for a response, she defended her technique, saying in 7 years she's never had an accident.
I'm not interested in what you think. Okay, I'm not interested.
But we figured she might be interested in what her boss thinks.
What I saw on that tape was absolutely unacceptable. It's against policy and training.
We took our video to Chief Inspector Carl Holmes, who employs crossing guards for the Philadelphia Police.
We're disturbed, and we will be addressing that employee.
We clarified some basics with Holmes, like guards are charged with crossing children walking with their parents too.
I'm not in charge of anything but me. That's who I'm in charge of.
And that their job description requires stopping and directing traffic.
I'm not standing out there in the street and stopping traffic. Are you serious? You get out there and stop traffic.
Holmes promised immediate action as well as retraining for other crossing guards and says even 1 day of not crossing kids is 1 day too many.
It only takes 1 day, 1 minute, 1 second for a child to be seriously hurt or killed and change people's lives forever.
The guards are paid employees of the police department. They work 4 hours a day and make about $58. The police wouldn't tell us if they were aware of previous complaints, saying this is a personnel matter. The day after we spoke with them, the guard was back out on the job.
Wendy Saltzman joins us with the results of this exclusive Action News investigation, which uncovers evidence of people voting from the grave.
Well, Jim, as you know, Trump has said that the election is rigged. There are allegations of illegal voters and questions about the legitimacy of our election process. So we dug deep into voting records to see if there is any truth to that claim and found ballots being cast in some cases for voters who were dead for a decade.
I hear too many stories about Pennsylvania, and we can't lose an election because of you know what I'm talking about.
The key to one of the most contentious presidential elections in history may lie right here in the Keystone State.
He is denigrating, he's talking down our democracy.
So Action News took on the task of digging through decades of election and death records.
How about the next three?
And some of what we found was stunning. Rita A. Pisano, a grandmother from South Philly, never lived to see her grandson Nicky born.
So she's been dead about 10 years now?
Yeah. Pisano passed in 2006, but state voting records show the dead grandmother is still an active voter who cast a vote in 2008, 2012, 2014, and in the 2016 primary election.
Any way she could have voted in 2016? Well, not if she was dead.
We found Joseph Haggerty resting peacefully in this cemetery, confirming he died in 2010. But voting records show he voted from the grave 5 years later.
Any chance that he voted in 2015?
I'm sure he didn't personally. God rest his soul, he's long gone.
Paul Bunch died in 2006, but voting records show him voting 10 years later in this year's primary.
Does that seem impossible to you?
Unless he's coming back from the dead.
She passed away years ago?
Neighbors also tell Action News Conchetta Galera died in 2009, but records show she last voted in 2013.
It's awful funny, unless a dead person came out of their grave.
We took our findings to the election watchdog, the Committee of 70.
There's going to be some level of, I think, relatively petty fraud, and we should have no tolerance for that.
And to the city commissioners in charge of Philadelphia's elections.
It's only an irregularity, there's no doubt about that.
Commissioner Al Schmidt said they found no clear evidence of fraud in the small sample check they did of the records we provided them.
We have one guy who's questionable, definitely.
His original registration.
Most of the issues, he said, were human error, such as a poll worker scanning the wrong name, a person signing in the wrong spot, or a son voting in his dead father's place. We asked about voters like Timothy Turner, who had been dead for a decade.
How is he still on the voter rolls to have somebody vote in his place in 2016?
Well, he would be removed if the Department of Health knew about it at the state level, and then the state notifies us.
Schmidt says dead voters remain on the rolls when the county isn't told they're dead. But Action News was able to identify votes cast for people who are deceased, and Turner's son wasn't happy about it.
Well, I figure whoever's running the voters registration ain't doing their job. For them to still have my father's name and he'd been deceased 10 years.
The Committee of 70 cautions intentional fraud is a tiny fraction of the 1 million votes cast in Philadelphia.
Clearly, dead people shouldn't be casting ballots.
He passed away like several years ago.
And while the number of inaccuracies uncovered by Action News couldn't sway the election, it may fuel critics' questions about the legitimacy of Philadelphia's voting process.
Doesn't that open up the system to the possibility of fraud?
It definitely makes it so that there's an opportunity for it.
Our investigation is getting action tonight. The city commissioners say the dead voters we uncovered will be removed from the rolls, and the State Department says they are working with us to identify other questionable cases. Now, when we wrap up here, I'm going to head to the newsroom to go live on my Facebook page.
Investigative reporter Wendy Saltzman caught it all on camera. She joins us tonight with an exclusive report.
Jim, we all know that food pantries are supposed to help the needy, the homeless, struggling families, and those with little or no income. So we were stunned when a tipster told us there was an employee at Manna on Main Street bragging he hadn't bought groceries for years because he was taking food for himself right out the charity's back door. On Friday, March 20th, when the Philadelphia area was hit with 8 inches of snow, up in Lansdale, Action News found this Manna on Main Street employee, Scott Lukens, personally stocking up for the storm. We found him packing his car, not just once, Not twice, but we watched as he walked out of the charity 4 times with bags.
If he was there for the needy people, he wouldn't steal from them.
Working on a tip from this man who asked not to be identified, we watched Lukens on 5 separate days.
He kept doing it and doing it. Mostly meats, big item meats, big hams, and sometimes pork chops.
On March 26th, we waited as Lukens arrived at work around 1:45 in the afternoon, empty-handed. But a few hours later, he walked out with a sack full of stuff. Again, on March 30th, our hidden cameras caught him leaving with a bag in his hands. And on April 2nd, it was a big shopping day for Scott. After taking in donations off his truck, Lukens decided to take something for himself. He put a black bag into the back next to another plastic bag left there. He returns a second time and put a box in the truck bed, and a third time to put another bulk box of food up front.
I think he puts himself above needy people. You know, he was taking the turkeys at Thanksgiving time like they were free.
Our tipster says he complained to management, but he says nothing happened.
And I witnessed families being turned away with little children. That's when I said, you know, I need to do something about it.
We've noticed on several occasions that you've been taking food out of the food pantry and putting in your truck.
But that...
Can you tell me why that is?
Give me a minute.
When we approached Lukens, he had another bag tucked under his arm and quickly bolted back inside. Our hidden cameras discovered boxes of graham crackers, a bulk box of juice, and bags of canned foods that were supposed to go to clients being looted by Lukens. And with us hot on his heels, he fled for the freezer. What are you putting out there?
Just give me a minute.
Lukens tried to shove us and slam the freezer door shut, but not before we saw him dumping the cold, hard proof. The shrimp that I just saw you putting in there. All right, well, we'll take a look. This is what I just saw him dump. Can you see? Bags of shrimp. 3 bags of shrimp. And Lukens wasn't the only one we caught on camera. Manna on Main Street officials confirmed this employee, who we recorded taking boxes and boxes of sodas and drinks, confessed to stealing from the pantry.
When we learned of the incident, we immediately did an internal investigation. We took this seriously.
Manna on Main Street's executive director says Lukens confessed and was immediately terminated. They wouldn't tell us what happened to this other employee, citing personnel confidentiality. But they say they're now building in safeguards to make sure this doesn't happen again.
We will be working with an expert in inventory control so that we know that we are doing a good job being good stewards of everything that is given to us.
We asked Manna on Main Street if they're taking any criminal charges against these employees, but they refused to share that information with us. I also contacted Lukens again. His only reply was no comment.
Investigative reporter Wendy Saltzman is here with that story.
Jim, most people know of Snapchat as an app that allows users to send their friends pictures, videos, or texts that disappear within seconds. But a triple fatal accident on Torresdale Avenue raises questions about whether it has another feature that could encourage young people to speed.
People get airborne if you're flying.
In the early morning hours of Sunday, December 20th, just 5 days before Christmas, police say a black Camaro carrying 3 Philadelphia girls was speeding down Torresdale Avenue. Their car slammed into a parked tractor trailer carrying herbicide and burst into flames.
Witness on the scene said that he could hear people screaming from inside the car, but he couldn't get to the vehicle due to the flames.
Inside that car were the driver, Amani Barton, and her friends Gia Scavo Abgarian and Candace Walker, all in their early 20s, and all possibly burned alive.
I really wanted to thank the guy who tried to save.
But what prompted the driver to apparently break the speed limits? New evidence uncovered by Action News points to the possibility an app exploding in popularity may have played a role.
She was a big fan of Snapchat. She would go on and check in from where she was at.
According to several sources, including Gia's uncle, Jimmy Abgarian, that fatal night, Gia posted several Snapchats documenting their whereabouts.
Apparently it showed them at a bar earlier in the day. Then it showed them at a house party.
And then there was what may have been the final snap.
Then allegedly showed them in a car, holding up how fast they were going. I believe the mileage was about 73, they said, and could have gotten more.
Abgarian provided us with this surveillance video showing the car flying down Torresdale Avenue. The girls, we're told, were snapping their speed. We found others on the internet also using the filter to brag about their speed. One Snapchat user posted 106 miles an hour. Students at Temple told us they use the miles per hour filter in innocent ways, but have also seen it used in potentially dangerous Snapchat speeding.
You want to see how fast you can get.
People go 100 down the Schuylkill.
One time I saw 120 miles.
Here's how it works. Users can record video from inside the app. One filter records speed. The problem is because snaps automatically disappear, there's no way for the family to prove what Gia sent. Her phone was destroyed in the fire. Her uncle says family members saw Gia's snap.
The speed was on the phone from the app.
I think it's really horrible. There's something there telling them, hey, go faster.
Amani Barton left behind 2 young children and a devastated family.
When my mom was alive, I used to love her so.
Police are still trying to determine whether the app played a role in the accident. If it did, Barton's mom has very strong feelings.
If that happened, it helped to kill my daughter.
Action News reached out to Snapchat multiple times for a comment. They said they wouldn't share a statement, but said they do take distracted driving seriously. The first time someone uses the miles per hour feature, a message pops up warning not to snap and drive. Gia's uncle's opinion?
I would fix it. I wouldn't no comment. I wouldn't not say anything. I would try and fix it.
The attorneys for Gia's family plan to subpoena that video from Snapchat. The Philadelphia Police Accident Investigation Unit has yet to release their findings of an official cause of the crash, although speed was initially stated as a factor.